Shalom everyone, I'm Eli Kowaz coming to you with Israel Policy Forum's 120 Project Weekly Israeli Election Update. We at Knesset Election Policy Forum, Israel Policy Forum, are here to bring you the latest from the Israeli campaign trail. But seriously, sometimes it feels like elections are all there is to Israel. And by sometimes, I mean between December 2018 and the present. Now let's kick things off with a recap of this week's top 3 Israeli election headlines. First up, a smoke break. We can assume Benjamin Bibi Netanyahu took many of them, as a witness testimony began in Case 1000, which sees the Israeli opposition leader, former Prime Minister, Foreign Minister, and Communications Minister at the same time, and Prime Ministerial hopeful on trial for fraud and breach of trust. Specifically, Netanyahu is charged with accepting gifts, including a monthly supply of some very, very special and prestigious cigars worth between $1,700 and $2,300, along with generous portions of champagne, in exchange for abusing his position as Prime Minister for the benefits of 2 very special billionaire friends, Hollywood mogul Arnold Milchan and Australian James Packer. This week, the court heard from Hadass Klein, a former aide to Milchan and Packer, whose testimony suggested an untoward arrangement between Netanyahu and the billionaires. On the flip side, Netanyahu's legal team wants to frame this as just an exchange of gifts between personal friends. If any of my friends are watching and you want to give me a monthly gift worth $2,000-ish, just between friends, of course, well, is there anything wrong with that? Bibi would probably say no. The merits of new leadership for Meretz. The left-wing party is having something of a leadership and identity crisis. Meretz joined the government a year ago under Nitzan Horowitz, earning 3 cabinet portfolios and 1 deputy ministership. But the party often seemed caught between its commitment to keeping Netanyahu out of power and its ability to extract small policy gains and pull of the right-wing side of the coalition. More recently, Meretz MK Ghaida Rinawi Zoabi played a part in destabilizing the coalition as it was on its last legs, resigning from the government before returning a few days later. Meretz's performance in the polls reflects this uneasy track record over the past year, with some of the initial numbers showing the party falling below the threshold to enter the Knesset, and all showing a decline from its current 6 seats. So what's the solution? In a tradition borrowed from the Labour Party over the past 4 elections, try and throw out the party leader and get a new one. MK Yair Golan, a former general and deputy chief of staff of the IDF, announced this week that he would challenge Nitzan Horowitz for the Meretz leadership. Golan isn't the only potential challenger. There's chatter about Zehava Galon, the former Meretz chair who left politics in 2018, returning, but so far she's denying these rumors. While we're talking about Yair Golan, the general consensus in Israeli politics is more, and more generals. There were reports this week, building on previous developments, that several parties continue to court former IDF Chief of Staff Gadi Eisenkot to run on their slates in November. These include Prime Minister Yair Lapid's Yesh Atid party and Benny Gantz's Kachol Lavan. If Eisenkot ends up with Yesh Atid, he is expected to take the 2nd spot on the list, following Prime Minister Lapid. And Eisenkot or no Eisenkot, Kachol Lavan and New Hope may be looking to merge. Alliances, mergers, and vote-sharing agreements help parties avoid the phenomenon of wasted votes. The votes for a party that do not add up to a whole seat in the Knesset. Now that we've covered the headlines, let's take a look at the polls. Meretz are still under the electoral threshold, while Yamina, recently taken over by Ayelet Shaked, have joined them. This puts Netanyahu in a hopeful position that his right-wing ultra-Orthodox bloc can reach 61 seats. At the same time, remember that the margin of error in these polls nears 4%, and with an electoral threshold set at 3.25%, it is very likely that we won't know whether or not Netanyahu forms or is able to form a government until after November election. For more on Israeli elections, read the latest Koppel column at israelpolicyforum.org/column. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button on our website to receive our latest updates and analysis. Until next week, I'm Eli Kowaz for Israel Policy Forum, signing off. Yalla bye!